Hello Stampers, it's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and today I'm here to show you how to create a couple different purse designs from the Best Dress Suite that is in the mini catalog from Stampin' Up. And you can find that on page 55 in the mini catalog. Here it is. Here's one sample page, and then here's some of the coordinating products. We're going to be using the dies only for the project that I'm showing you, but we did on this project here use some of the coordinating stamp set that goes with this. So let me show you how to create 3 different style bags with one die. I'm going to show you the pieces that I used from this. I'll move the stamp set out of the way. So for this, you need this piece here, which comes with the coordinating dies. You need 2 of those. And then you need 2 of this piece. That's your handle. And then depending on what you use, now it does come with, you can see on this one, there are some buttons that I used, and it comes with a button die that comes with that, 2 of those, 2 different sizes. And then this one is the little buckle, and that's what I'm going to show you today, to put on this purse here. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to create each of the purses. We're not going to actually design each of them, but I will show you how to create them. As I said, I'm going to just set these out of the way a little bit. We're going to start with the die here, and I'm going to show you a sample of how to put one together, and then I'll help you build one. So this is the actual purse, and you're going to cut 2 pieces. Now I cut a piece of 11 inch cardstock by 5 inches, and then basically cut them out like this, so you could get 2 out of 1 and then have a little bit of your cardstock left over. I'm going to recommend that you use a liquid adhesive. You could use tear and tape. Some of the spots get a little small, so I would recommend the liquid adhesive. Now when you've run these through the Big Shot or whatever you have to cut yours with, I would go ahead and use a bone folder to burnish all of your score lines. Now I'm going to bring this up just a little bit so you can see there's a stitched edge, and then in the middle of that right here there is a scored edge. So that's where you need to fold along the line. And so we're going to do that on all of them. I believe that I did already do this. Let me just double check. I missed this one here. Be careful not doing it too hard because you'll rip your cardstock. Okay, so you need to have them facing up, and we're going to put these 2 edges together. And when you put them together, it's a little easier to see on cardstock than it is designer paper, but mostly you're looking for that edge to line up and this score line right here at the bottom to line up from this piece to this piece. So we're just going to put a little bit of adhesive. I'm using the Tombow multi-purpose adhesive on that little score line that's on this one. I'm going to bring this piece over. The other reason that I like the Tombow adhesive is it gives me a little minute. This one isn't too bad, but when you get to the other side, you'll see that we need to do a little bit of adjusting to get everything just right. Okay, so that should be good. Now we're going to put adhesive on along this edge here. And this is not like a typical box where you can just fold one side over. You kind of need to hold on to it and figure out what's your best way of holding on to it. I'm going to fold my bottom flaps back, and then I'm going to bring this over, and again, you want the top flap, the top part to match up, and this is where the Tombow multi-purpose or liquid glue would be really good, because if you need to move it around at all. So I have my top lined up. I'm just pinching along that line to make sure that it's all good, and then this bottom score line right here is lined up. And that has created our purse or our bag or backpack, whatever we're going to create with this. Today I'm just showing you purses. I will do another video on how to create the backpack. I didn't want the video to get too long. Now we're gonna it doesn't matter what style purse we do, we're going to do this the same. So we're going to fold in these little flaps. This is the bottom. And we're going to bring this piece forward. Now, when you bring this piece forward, it kind of helps you to square up your bag. So just make sure that you have kind of even amounts of cardstock on the side of each tab over there. And then one thing I'll warn you is you'll see this little gap here. So on this piece, you want to be careful not to put adhesive right along this bottom edge. Otherwise, it'll go on the inside of your bag and make everything sticky in there. So I'm just going to put some adhesive here and just kind of avoid that, just that bottom edge. And I'm going to bring it over. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to go inside just to make sure that everything is very well secured. The Tombow Multi-Purpose adheres pretty quickly. Now, this is our bag. So remember, we already pre-burnished those score lines. So first of all, I'm going to show you, we can fold it in and have a purse that's made this way. And for this bag here, all I did was pushed those score lines out instead of folding them in, but you still need to burnish them. And then that's our bag that way. And then I put my handles on there. And so it just makes it for more of a tote bag, I think, than a purse. So again, if you want this style of a purse, you're going to fold those score lines on the side in, both of them in. If you want this style purse, all you need to do is take your finger on the inside and push them out. That's why it's very important to burnish those score lines before, so that you have a little bit of flexibility with what you want to do. But if you forget, you can kind of coax it along, and then there are little score lines here too at the bottom, just to kind of hold the shape of the bag. So I'm going to actually show you how to make this one, and it's kind of a combination of this one. I just put the handles on a little different, but I did want to show you with a sample just how to create the basic bag. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'll show you how to create this purple posy one. Now again, I started with the same exact parts, which are going to be 2 pieces cut from the purple posy. I have my handles, and then I made these little buckles here for the side. So that's what those are. You're also going to need a piece for this one that I cut here, that's going to be a flap for the purse. And that piece is cut at 2 1/4 by 1 3/4. And we're going to score that at a 1/2 inch right here. And then, as you can see on this piece, maybe, hopefully, I did run it through the tufted embossing folder. And I didn't do that yet because I wanted to show you how I did that. So I'm going to bring in my Big Shot real quickly. And now the tufted embossing folder is one of those folders that went through a little bit of change through Stampin' Up. So it depends on which one you have. I have the original one that they created. And so I'm just putting a little shim in mine. And then you want the part of the folder that, because it's going to be important to have your pieces line up. So I'm looking to see how they're going to go in my folder here. And this is the part that pushes down, which creates the tuft. This pushes up, and maybe you'll just need to do a little testing with yours. This part here isn't going to fit in the folder, but that's okay because it's the bottom part of the purse. So just make sure this is lined up. I would go ahead and fold on all the score lines because when it goes through the folder, it will flatten them out just slightly. So I'm going to put this in here and run it through. Now, another thing that you can do with the embossing folders, especially if you have the older ones, whoops, I'm moving my whole thing here, is spray a little bit of water on them before you do it, because it will help to give you a little bit more texture on your embossing folder. That's the old one. I can't vouch for the new embossing folder. Okay, so you can see that I have some really nice embossing there. So now I'm going to look at this piece, which needs to line up here. So I'm going to take this piece just like this and put it into my folder on top of my shim, just to give me a little more texture. And I'm going to move this over so that I don't knock over my camera holder there again. And I'm just going to run it back and forth just to get some good texture. It looks like I need to straighten myself up here. Sorry about that. Hopefully I didn't make you too dizzy. So now that we ran this through the folder, I am going to go ahead and just fold back out those lines. I know we did it before, but as I said, the embossing folder tends to flatten those out just a little bit. And it will be a lot easier if you have them folded once you go ahead and start making your box. So it looks like those ones are pretty good. Now again, as I showed you before, we just need to glue this. I'm going to put a little adhesive right here. Line that up on the score line here on the other box, but I'm also more importantly looking at the bottom and looking at the top. Now because we embossed this, you're going to want to make sure that you have good adhesive coverage, because you have a lot of texture in that paper, and sometimes that makes our embossed piece not stick very well. So I'm just going over that really well, not too hard because I don't want to push down my tufted area. And then I need to, again, make sure that one's folded under, because this one here is going to come over and meet this side. So I'm going to fold that in. Make sure I have good adhesive on there. And then I'm going to carefully, I'm going to fold my flaps from the top and the bottom back. I'm going to bring it over. I'm going to attach the top part first if I can, to make sure that's really lined up, and then I'll go down the way and make sure the rest of it is lined up. Okay, and again, you just want to make sure that it's really well adhered because of that tufted folder. Now this one I don't have, I can't lay it down flat because this isn't a square box. So I'm just going to have to rely on being able to kind of squish that adhesive in there really well. Okay, and once again, we're going to turn it upside down. And we're going to put some adhesive on these little tabs. Oops, almost did it wrong. On the little tabs, fold them in. And I'm going to fold the one tab in first, square it up. Just kind of hold it for a minute so that that adhesive can adhere to this other piece before that just kind of squares it up. So I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on this other piece. I can see this one piece is getting a little off square, but because I'm using liquid adhesive, it'll be okay. So I just want to make sure that I have good lines on the side for this part that I already glued down. I'm going to bring this over, and then I'm going to carefully turn it over and use my bone folder or something else that you can put inside of your bag. Make sure that it's well adhered. Now again, this one I'm going to go to the inside. I'm going to put my score lines to the inside instead of the outside, like this, because I'm going to make a bag. And one thing I did find, just to make my bag stay together a little better, or fold a little better, just up at the top, I did kind of use my bone folder to hold that together. Now this piece I already put through. Again, this piece is 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. And I'm going to use my trio punch here. And I'm going to round the corners. And then this is the part that's going to glue on for this flap here. Now, one thing that I did, I'll try to keep this here so you can see it. One thing that I did discover is for all of the purses, I did not realize I didn't have some Velcro. So what I would do is Velcro this. I just put a little glue dot for now, and you could put a glue dot if you didn't want it to be open and closable, but I would get probably a really small little Velcro dot and put on the inside there so it could be reusable. But I don't have that today, so I'm going to substitute that with a glue dot, and then later I'll go and get some Velcro and put it together. Now, this piece is going to go on top, and so you can choose if you want this flap to be outside or if you want to tuck it inside and adhere it. The only thing we have to be careful of is this little U shape right here. So when you're putting glue, you either want to put it just on these little tabs right here. We're going to have to be careful because we don't want to have too much adhesive. I'm going to put this one on the outside. That's what I did for my other one. And then I'm just going to bring it over and hold it. And make sure that it's well adhered. And so there we go with the top flap. That's all hooked on there. So again, like I said, you could put the put this top flap, tuck it inside and glue it, or you can glue it to the outside. It doesn't matter. If you glue it to the outside, you'll see that little notch. Otherwise, you see the flap on the back, which I'm okay with. Be careful that you don't just put adhesive all the way across, because otherwise when you open up your bag, you're going to have adhesive there. So our bag is pretty much done now. But we need to do the cute little handles. And one thing I discovered, that you want to take your bone folder and kind of just go over it a little bit. You don't want to do it a lot, but we need to break up those fibers a little bit, because if you don't, the handle's going to bend in places that you don't want it to. So there's that part. And now what we need to do is bring our little buckles over here. And I'm going to go ahead and do my glue dot on this right now. I'm just going to put, there's a glue dot right here, and I'm going to close it up. And so if you were doing Velcro, that's where you would want to do that right now. So I'm going to take my strap, and I'm going to come through the back and over that buckle. You could also go this way if you would like to, but I'm going to come up through here and this way. And I'm not going to glue that part, but I am going to turn it over and put a little bit of adhesive on the back. And I'm going to hold it, and this again is where the liquid adhesive comes in real handy. This one you're going to have to hold just a little bit longer than the other one, because you're holding two pieces and you're also holding it to the part that it has been embossed. So you want to just hold it so that you don't lose any of your buckle or your strap that you've put on already. Now we need to do the other side. So we're going to carefully go through just like we did the other one, up and around that buckle, turn it over, and put some adhesive on there. Now the trick is, we're going to bend this around in a circle. So I'll try to show you a little easier. It's flat here. I'm taking it by the buckle end, and I'm just going to wind it around. So you do need to make sure that you left a good amount at the end, and then just hold that down. So see how it's nicely rounded? If you don't use your bone folder and break up those fibers, it will kind of tend to bend the paper a little bit. Okay, so this part's done, the front. Hopefully I held that long enough. We'll do the same exact thing for the back part. Again, I'm going to go in and around the buckle, but you can have the silver part in the middle showing if you want to. Put some adhesive on there, but not too much because we don't want it to come out on a really cute purse here. Now, I'm letting a little bit of that purple handle come out of the bottom of the buckle. Again, you always have a choice of how much you want to show and how much you don't want to show. And then one last buckle. We're going to go through the bottom, over the buckle, out the bottom. I'm going to turn it over, put a little adhesive on. And then I'm going to bring it around just like I did the other one. And then just hold it in place. And hopefully that's good. And so there's our purse. Now if you wanted to put some of the flowers from the stamp set, you could do some of these flowers here. And they also have coordinating dies that you could put on here. I think a shoe on there would be super cute. A little thing of perfume. If you wanted to do this little pocket on the front like I did on this one over here, you could do that too. I think that would be super cute. And you could also put a little lipstick on there. So you have a lot of choices of what you want to do. You could just put a greeting on there and use this too. So hopefully you have enjoyed this. And if you need to order any stamping supplies, you can visit my online store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net. I would love to be your demonstrator. And I will list the link, the item code for these products I've used today, just so that you don't have to go searching for them. And I hope that you have enjoyed learning how to create 3 different style purses from the Best Dressed Suite in the mini catalog. If you haven't found me over on Facebook yet, visit my Facebook at facebook.com/stampitwithdebbie. Thank you so much and happy stamping. I'll see you again soon.